Let's see how long this one is. Hopefully, it's going to be a short one compared to everything else, which I always think it's going to take 20 minutes and then an hour later. But hopefully, this one's quick and straight to the point. Nice, short, and sweet, just like my penis. And I hope you guys are having an awesome day. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to those of you who are watching these lives just for being here. That's it. I fucking love you. Thank you for being here. I just want to say it because I'm creating with so much joy and I'm loving this. And it went from like, oh, it's so hard to do something, to make a video, to like, what am I going to talk about, to just diarrhea flowing through my mind. So I hope you enjoy my diarrhea flowing through my mind. Today, I want to go back and talk about something that's really changed my life, changed my existence, changed everything that I've been able to accomplish, and also something that recently I've proven to myself that absolutely works in order for you to become absolutely unstoppable. A fucking machine, to be your greater self, to be something that will always win in life. And that is using your fear to do that. Your fears or fears, whatever you fear. So I'm going to start with a story. I'm structuring this. I'm doing it in English first so that I know how to structure it a little bit better for Spanish. I'm sorry, you guys are my guinea pigs. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? At least I'm not probing you up the ass. All right. So let's just go and start from there. So number one, when I was a kid, I used to have so much fear of so many things. And it wasn't until recently that I started looking back at my life when I was a child, because for X, Y, and Z, it's not a good place to go. If you're Alejandro's mind, you don't want to go to your childhood for whatever reason. And I haven't visited those places in my mind in a very long time. And it was because of pain, because of non-happy places, if you will. So they always say, right, like in Happy Gilmore, go to your happy place. And then he's better at golfing and all that shit. So it's kind of like that, but not really like that. I want to start by talking about me. Oh, wow. What an honor. What an honor. When I was a kid, now I remember, I was terrified of everything. And I remember once, and I'll give you examples and I'll go into it. And even though it sounds crazy, and this is specifically for everyone that heard the chat I had with my wife yesterday, I'd recommend, if you haven't watched that, to watch that so that you understand what I'm talking about here. And if you don't understand, you don't want to understand, you just want to hear someone talk while you're doing something else in the background, that's perfectly fine. Because this is meaningless either way. This is just for those that are here for it and that are going to receive it. And that's it. If it's one person, awesome. If it's none, awesome. My camera did it. So that's plenty for me to be grateful. So when I was a kid, I was terrified of everything. And I'm talking about like as a really, really, really young kid. So I'll give you a few examples. One of my first memories, my dad passed away when I was 4 years old. I'm sorry that I keep bringing it up, but it's just like timelines, right? And I remember one of my first memories was with him getting me on his motorcycle. And the fear that I felt getting on that motorcycle was uncomparable to anything else. Anything else that I had ever experienced at that point in my life. Then I remember just walking around the house and being terrified of just like the darkness. I couldn't figure out what it was, but I felt like there was always something in the darkness chasing me. And instead of like just staying put and like look around, I would just run. And I don't know how many of you guys have felt that, where you feel like something is fucked up and you just like, well, I don't want to see, and you just keep walking, right? So I used to feel that a lot when I was a kid. And then I remember that I was afraid like a motherfucker of rejection from friends. Because and the weird thing is, I was terrified of it, but what I was terrified about that rejection was I had a fear that people would see how fearful I was, which is insane as a kid, right? So I would literally just live in that fear, anxiety, panic as a kid. And I remember the moments specifically, like I remember going to who, by the way, is now a friend of mine, when I was a kid and I was in kindergarten. That's how I remember this, walking up to him, first day of school, and going like, do you want to be my friend? And this dude just looked at me and said, no. and walked away. I was like, oh, today I would have been like, but back then that shit was traumatizing, right? And then I started fearing other things related to why I don't want to think back to my childhood, right? Which, by the way, this drama doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to skip it for you. But I remember just crying out of fear and staring at a fucking Japanese doll we had in the house in a I don't know, like some glass, and I don't know why we had it. And I remember staring at it and having a conversation with myself at that very young age and saying, "Why are you so fearful of everything? Why are you so full of fear? What's wrong with you? You need to do something to not be this person. You can't be fearful." And this is a kid, like a kid. I can't like, and it's so hard to believe that as kids we had like such thoughts, right? But I did. Then I remember growing a little older, and I had to be around 7 to 9 years old. I love writing songs, and I completely forgot that until today. By the way, which by the way, I tell my wife all the time because I write song. I always fuck with her because I love singing just nonsense. And my wife is always like, shut the fuck up. All right. We got enough with the radio. We got the TV. We got a Bad Bunny. We don't need Alejandro songs. But Alejandro just keeps writing songs. So as a kid, I started doing that. And I remember I wanted to be a part of a band. And it was a girl, another friend of mine, his name was Oscar, and myself. And we would write songs. We would think about how we were going to perform them and all that shit. And then one day I went to Oscar's house. That was the only time I went to his house. And while I was there, he told me a story about a dog. By the way, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school. And that also helps with a lot of fears because instantly they tell you, dude, you're guilty from the original scene from the start and all of your life. You're going to have to work towards getting rid of that. And then God, at some point when you die, he's going to judge you. And if you fucked up, you're going to fucking hell. And best case scenario, if you fucked up, you go to purgatory forever. And you're going to live in a place where nothing exists. And that's going to be miserable. So I was terrified of all those things, like literally everything. So I'm at this dude's house and we finished writing our songs. We're like, all right, this is going to be like the giraffe song. I don't know why I specifically remember that one. So stupid. Well, I guess I was just a child. So after we're done, the girl leaves and it's just Oscar and myself. And he proceeds to tell me a story that terrified me for a very long time and I couldn't sleep at all when he told me that story. And it was about a dog that would come out at night, swear to God. All right. I was a kid. So before you continue to judge me, understand that. I was a kid. So he told me that this dog would come out at night, open a portal from hell underneath your bed. He would walk out and grab you by the legs and bring you down to hell with him. So imagine how fucking terrified I was as a kid thinking, well, underneath my bed, there's hell, like a door to hell. And this fucking dog's going to come out at any point and fucking get me. Right. So that was that. Eventually, obviously, I got over it. And as I grew older and I started just focusing on actual problems from my reality, fixing them and realizing I have the power to do anything. At some point that happened in my life. I had like a very rough day, let's call it that, one day. And I said, I can't be fearful in this situation. I need to absolutely do anything that I can to get the fuck out of here, if you will, and out of this situation. And I did. And after doing that, I realized, dude, you can do anything. Anything in this world is yours. So as I grew older, a lot of great things started to happen to me. A lot of like anything that you could imagine. My life is like a fucking movie. Started to happen. Everything that I was fearful of disappeared. Like the fear disappeared. And I just grew. And it was awesome. I remember exactly that. But I was still afraid of death. Very afraid of death. Very afraid of hell. Very afraid of a lot of things that were just plugged into my brain when I was a child. And it was not enjoyable at all. But as I'm doing all these things, and finally, like one of my biggest fears was always losing the friends that I had, the circle of friends that I had. And at some point in high school, like finishing high school, this is how old I was now at this time. And I want you to understand that. And what I'm about to tell you sounds ridiculous, okay? Or could be whatever you want to make it out to be. It is what it is. So as I'm doing finals, I know for a fact I'm moving to the United States. I'm moving to New York, and I'm going to see what the fuck happens. And that's it. That's all I knew because I had grown to that level. And after I made the decision, not too many days later, I was sleeping in bed in the morning. And I remember thinking, I woke up, and as soon as I woke up, I was like, oh, thank God it's so early still. I can go back to sleep. So I go back to sleep. I turn around and I put myself under, like, I grab myself like a burrito, turn around, of course, because it's Mexican. I turn around, I grab myself like this, and I go back to falling asleep. And as I'm falling asleep, I started to feel that fear that whenever I was walking through a dark room that I would get. And I was like, huh, as I'm just there with my eyes closed. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. That's nothing. And all of a sudden, I start hearing steps. But these steps were not any steps that I've ever heard in my house. It was definitely not my mom. I didn't know what the fuck it was or who it was, but it sounded very, very real and very, very heavy. So it's kind of like if you guys watch Dragon Ball, kind of like when Cell walks, can hear that. And at the same time, I started hearing something breathing. And I could feel in every breath the fucking hate that thing had. And I thought that's a person, right? Like whatever the fuck it is. And I don't want to look, maybe someone broke into the house or something's going on. So I like even close my eyes more and I turn around more. And as I'm turning around more, I start hearing the steps coming close to me, getting next to me, breathing next to me, and started to step on the wall. Like behind my bed. And at that point, I'm like, what in the fuck is that? Along with the breathing. And all of a sudden, that shit gets to the top of, like, I can feel how he's on top of me. And I'm like, dude, you're just dreaming. Don't worry about it. This is not real. And all of a sudden, I felt how that thing fell into my bed. And I could feel how it stepped, like, around me. And I could sense that he was staring at me. Whatever the fuck it was staring at me. And I could hear the breathing. And there's no words to describe the fear that I felt that day. Like I literally, as an adult, right? As a 17, 18-year-old, I couldn't sleep by myself. I couldn't sleep with the lights off. I had to turn the lights on. I had to keep the TV on. And that fear was implanted in me. Eventually, after weeks or maybe a month, I convinced myself that he was just like, probably I was dreaming and he was nothing. Cool. No problem. So I go on with my life. I start living life on the edge, if you will, with a lot of fear still, but like basically all the stupid shit that I feared was not a fear anymore. And I could move forward and I could just like do whatever. Yesterday, I talked to you guys with Belen about what existence is. To me, obviously, it could be absolutely wrong, right? Like you're a guy that believes whatever the scientific papers say. That's awesome. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here telling you my story. That's it. That's it. Hopefully it's entertaining you. And after I did this and I explained that to my wife, and I did it live. She's obviously, if you guys watch that, she's never heard that story before and what I think and like really all of it put together. And now I watch a few parts to listen and I'm missing so much more. But whatever, that's not for here right now. And if you believe what I believe, you know that the game doesn't want people to tell others how to play the game. If you know how to play the game and you're telling thousands of people how to play the fucking game, normally what happens is you get, let's call it, eliminated from the game, which in our reality is called death, right? That's what it is. So I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And I believe in this and I believe in that. And it's so weird and this and that. And I tell Belen everything. So yesterday we go to the beach after we're done with our video and we're chilling. And while we're chilling, I'm just thinking in my head, and I do a lot of breathing things so that I can be here instead of like, let me grab my phone and just be on my fucking phone or paying attention to anything. So I like to feel my heart. I like to feel the air coming in, coming out. Nothing else. Not like I'm doing meditations like the guys that are like, oh, yoga, and then do the doggy style or whatever the fuck it's called. None of that. I'm just trying to be here. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be present. So at the beach, I had this thought because if you know what I think is, I create my own reality. And I said, I think I'm ready to start talking to the me's above me, right? I am ready. I am ready to be one of those people that hears from other people like more clearly, if you will. That's the easiest way of putting it. So we had a great day. We finished. I had we had a great dinner. Then we were watching TV and go to sleep. When I go to sleep, pass out normal. And as I'm falling really deep asleep, whatever the fuck it was that was in my house when I was a kid was here. And the message that fucking thing had was, if you tell everyone how to play this game, you're going to die. There's no way around it. You're going to be dead. You can't be doing this. And I was like, oh shit. And feeling that horrible energy. And I would wake up and I was like, okay, that's a nightmare. I'd fall back asleep saying, nothing, is just a nightmare. Go back to sleep. The voice again. And if you think I'm playing with you, you're so wrong. And I'm going to come back with more people to get you. And the things that are going to happen to you, you won't believe in this reality. And at that point, some kind of my consciousness kicked in because, and I'll tell you later why. When I feel fear, I got to dive into the fear. Head straight, motherfucker. Head straight. So I feel the fear and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want because I own this reality. This is a conversation that's really weird for a lot of people watching this. And the thing just felt more pissed off and took me in my dream, or whatever you want to call it, somewhere with itself and others like him. And these others start showing me the world in a different way I've never seen it before. And I'm not going to tell you, because I was thinking, should I tell them what I saw? It's irrelevant. It's fucking, it sounds crazy. It's stupid. You guys are listening to the craziest thing you probably heard in your life. And he takes me and he shows me these things. And he goes, do you want to navigate the world like these people? And that's all of your problem? We'll let you do it. But you need to stop doing this. And I said, I'm not going to do it. And he said, then we're going to take you. And it was a constant battle of waking up and going like, I'm not going to be fearful and whatnot all night long. And a lot of you guys are going to say, well, you probably drank alcohol. Nope. Well, you probably smoked weed. Nope. Well, you probably did something. Nope. No. It was like the essence of that fucking thing is so specific. It's so hard to tell someone. It's so hard to describe someone that you know without ever looking at them. And I'm not even going to tell you what they look like, because when I used to hear about these things, instantly I'd fucking break out and go like, I can't listen to anyone that believes this shit. All right, now I'm there. Excellent. And I woke up, and I did all my things, normal. But I was very tired because I didn't get any rest whatsoever. So I saw my wife and she's like, what's going on with you? I was like, so tired. But you know what? I got to fucking move on. We got to work out. We got to do all these things. I did my live in the morning while I'm doing my 4-hour live. I work out in the middle of it. I know it's hard to believe, but it's just how it's structured. Took a shower and I was feeling great. Started doing my breathing afterwards, feeling fucking fantastic. And then I said, fuck those motherfuckers. Because instantly, I wanted to share, like my wife, when she was asking me, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you sleep? I straight up didn't want to tell her. Because I felt fear, one, that she was going to look at me and go like, well, this dude has lost all of his marbles now. Even though yesterday was pretty crazy. At that point, I said, I'm not going to tell her because she's not going to understand and she's going to be whatever. So I didn't even think much of that. And then I remembered it. While I was smoking my hookah today, I remembered it. And I was like, man, I wish I could tell everyone that I finally did it. I finally channeled some shit from my mind or to whatever you want to call it, right? I finally did it. Like something that I've worked so hard to be able to do, I'm there. And now I don't want to tell anyone because now I fear they're all going to think I'm crazy. So I had written a tweet in Spanish and I was about to delete it when I realized that was from fear. And I was like, nope, send, motherfucker. And now I'm here telling you this again. Am I going to see this fucking thing again tonight? I don't give a fuck. Because I'm still the creator of this reality in my mind, right? So I don't need to be fearful about it. This is the way to be unstoppable. You want to be unstoppable, you got to completely eliminate your fears. And it starts from something so basic. If you guys have ever, maybe smoke weed will do it to some people. That takes you to a place where you're so paranoid and so full of anxiety and so full of fear that you're like, I never want to do this shit again. Or mushrooms or LSD. The moment, and people will tell you, dude, I had a bad trip. I had a bad trip on LSD. I had a bad trip on mushrooms. I had a bad trip on weed. This is such an elemental thing for us humans, and we don't understand it. And that was, to me, every time someone tells you a story about themselves having a bad trip, they'll tell you this. And then I started seeing this, and I was so fucking scared. I try to run away from it. And guess what happens next? It becomes worse and worse and scarier and absolutely fucking your mind at a level that Epstein has no chance at being able to do. Like, it's terrible. I was terrified of dying, and I'm not sure if I told you this, guys. I was terrified of dying in 2020, but we were at home. I was working out like crazy. I was outside for the first time in my life, literally just outside, sitting fucking with lizards, tata, all this shit, looking at the trees, sitting on the grass, literally just what they say, touch grass. I was doing that. I called myself a homeless with a house because I lived outside of the house in the yard, and I loved it. Like the feeling that I got was incredible. So at that point, a friend of mine that told me about mushrooms, which have helped me tremendously to be able to grow, told me about LSD. And LSD was like the next thing. And I was always terrified of doing LSD. So the fear went away. And I was like, you know what? Whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to do LSD. And literally that week, a friend of ours comes over for dinner and she goes, by the way, my husband gave me these LSD tablets, whatever. I don't want to do LSD. Do you want to do LSD, Elliot? And I was like, yeah, I want to do LSD. I've only done it once that time. And I tried it, right? So when I tried it, long story short, I wasn't going anywhere. And then I turbocharged it. We're not going to talk about how. And when I finally felt it kicking in, that reality gets distortion, I was like, all right, this is it. I'm good to go. I'm going to sit outside. I'm going to grab my chair and sit the fuck outside. So I put my chair outside and I'm staring at literally the mountains, the hills, and then all of the city because I was on top of a hill in Hidden Hills. And as I'm there and I'm like, dude, everything is so beautiful. Everything is so full of love. Look at the plants basically talking to you. You can tell what plants are happy, what plants are not. You can feel the relationship between Earth, all of us, the relationship between Earth, the moon, the sun. Like, it's insane. Like, you can just feel what they're feeling. There's no other way to describe it. And I'm like, I don't know how much time I'm into it, like sitting in that chair, just enjoying the living fuck out of it. And out of nowhere, the sky that was so blue, it's hard to describe, out of nowhere in the middle, opens up like this. And when it opens up, it like the darkest of darkness, it's right in the middle and around the clouds, but it's not clouds. It's kind of like bending what I'm seeing, which, by the way, you're in LSD, right? So that shit opens up And literally, without a voice, the information is, all right, buddy, it's time for you to die. I was like, excellent. I'm finding my biggest fear while I'm doing LSD. Well, I just wanted to chill and see fucking if I could turn into a cartoon or something, which I already am, but I wanted to take it further. That was not the case. The case was, buddy, you're going to die. Biggest fear in the world. And as I learned how to do mushrooms and I learned how to do all those things, I've always told people, whenever you fear anything, dive straight in. You can't just fucking be a pussy and stay out, because then everything is going to turn way worse. And as I'm standing there and this thing is like, all right, buddy, it's time to die. I go, let's go, take me. And all of a sudden, everything that was darkness turns into a pink, that turns into a blue, that turns into the sky, and just happiness just falls from that hole everywhere around me. And I can feel it. And that literally was the moment I completely not anymore afraid of death, right? So in life, we have a lot of obstacles and we have a lot of things that we listen to. There's a lot of noise. There's TV, there's social media, there's people, there's your own thoughts, which you can dive into that later. Eventually we will. Not all of your thoughts are your own thoughts. And what I've been practicing really hard is to be able to learn how to really listen to myself in the best way possible to make the best decisions possible. And I've been doing this for like a month at the level that I'm doing it now. And in one of the areas that I see it, that it's an extremely beneficial thing is in trading, right? And again, I'm not telling you trading. It's in trading. I used to make a lot more mistakes than right now. And the reason why is because now I'm not listening to my mind. I'm listening to my heart to start. And then when I feel fear creeping in about something, it's like, oh my God, I should probably get out of this trade because it's going to fuck me. And that comes from fear. I'm like, we're going to stick around, baby. We're going to fucking stick around. And that literally has turned into just money. And I'm trading every month to have fun. It's like I put like 10 grand and then I take whatever money out. This is my best month ever by a lot, by like a lot. And it's just one after the other, one after the other. And this is applying to everything in my life too. Anytime I go, oh, I don't want to do that, and I start thinking about why, if it's fear, I go against it. And if you start being able to listen to yourself, to your real self, which is your heart to begin with, and then you realize that fear is here to fuck you out of your path. Every time you feel fear, you're going to be grateful for that fear, because that fear is telling you exactly the opposite of what you need to do. And if you motherfuckers don't believe me, why are the news and social media installing basically fear on everyone? Anxiety, world war that never comes. Why the nuclear bombs, financial crisis? Why do you think that is? Because this game is literally meant to be won by those who realize the basic, most stupid principle. Everything is backwards. When the news tell you to fear something, don't fear it. When you feel that inside of you and you start getting anxiety or any negative emotion in you, which comes, it's all derived from fear, go against it. Your reality will turn into the most glorious fucking thing. It'll be orgasmic, motherfuckers. Don't leave it on the table. Don't look at fear as what we all know it today. Look at fear as a great tool to go against, and love your fear, because your fear is here to help you, as weird as that sounds. So anything that you're fear, dude, should I start a business? Should I do fucking, if you feel fear, go do it. Man, should I like break up with my girlfriend because I can't? But oh man, what are people going to say? Oh, that's fear. That's doubt. Do it. Whenever you're in any sort of situation, should I join the army. No, man, I'm afraid of. Go do it. Go do it. There's only one thing guaranteed in this world, and it's the worst one according to all humans, and that's death. And it's so stupid to be afraid of that to begin with. So there shouldn't be anything in this fucking reality that you're living in that you should fear. Because at the end of the day, you're the creator of your own reality. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but you are. So you want to use that fear. You want to really listen to yourself. You want to listen to your heart, and you want to listen to that fear. When it starts to creep in, is call it bad you that wants you to fuck up your life. It's the obstacle that you need to get over in this reality. That's what it's all about. So whenever you start feeling getting anxious, getting nervous, why am I getting nervous? Because if I leave my friend and I'm never going to talk to them again, even though he's a fucking piece of shit, whatever, what are people going to say about me? Fuck you. Get that motherfucker out of your life. No fear allowed. Absolutely none. Dive in, head in first, and fucking earn and grab control over this reality because it's yours, belongs to you, and you can do anything as long as you're not a pussy and fall for the fear. That's